Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Rebel Rewind. My name is Christopher. That's Eric over there with me as always. Eric, how's it going? It's
Good.
another
Good, Chris.
Tuesday is upon us.
Yep. How you doing, Chris? How's your day?
I'm doing good. It was a good day at work. Yeah. So
Awesome.
like I said, Tuesday, another episode of the Acolyte starts in half an hour. So pretty crazy. That
Pretty
last
great.
episode though, that kind of stirred some things up. I've
Sure.
seen like different comments on my own video and like on other people's channels, and just like people are split. There's a lot of people who liked it, but I feel like there's a lot more toxic fans who are saying they don't like it, and then there's people in the middle who just they don't like it. They're not toxic, but they're just not a big fan of what they did with that last episode. But
Certainly.
I don't know.
Yep.
What did you think about it?
I'm right there in the middle. There's some aspects that I did like about the show. There were some things I didn't like about it. So yeah, it was. I was right there in the middle. I didn't like. I mean, that wasn't my favorite episode at all. First and second episode to me was the better ones. This one was kind of controversial, right? So but for the most part, I didn't like. There's some aspects I don't like, and I wish that one thing that I'm gonna lay it out. I don't like the fact that they're bringing witches into Star Wars. I mean, I just wish that was just a separate. I mean, I wish this universe was void of that, But I mean,
Yeah,
they brought it in Clone Wars, so we have them right now. So they're utilizing them. So they're in the universe. So
yeah. So you weren't a big fan of the witches
no,
in the Clone Wars
no,
either, eh? Just not
no,
not your thing, eh?
no, it's not
Yeah,
my thing.
I get it, and I get it. Like you're hoping they could have just kept it simple, just light side, dark side, and that's
Yeah,
it, eh? Just
exactly. Yeah, that's where
yeah, and I get that, and we're all entitled to our own opinion.
Yep.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the witch factor there. I enjoyed getting some more lore as far as like in my opinion anyways. I think the twins are this dyad that we saw Palpatine talk about in the Rise of Skywalker, where he said we haven't seen this kind of power in over a millennia or in generations or something like that. So I think the twins are this Force dyad. But a
So we
lot of
got
the
to see what.
criticism, yeah, a lot of the criticism about this episode, one was that their birth kind of
Yeah,
overshadows, like takes away from Anakin's birth and how he's the chosen one. It kind of takes away from that, but I don't think so. I think what the witches did there, they used their witch powers, whether it was like they tapped into the Force somehow or whatever. I think they used it as like kind of a way to
explain. All right.
implant the eggs of the twins into the mother coral. I don't think it has nothing to do with the Force actually creating them. So I think they just kind of use their magic, whatever, tapping into the Force. Like I said, if they tapped into it a little bit, I think that's what they did there. So
Yeah, that makes
um,
sense.
yeah, and then another big thing was a lot of people are complaining that there's now like two women who are apparently together in Star Wars, but like it's not the first time we've seen that. We've seen it in the Rise of Skywalker at the end, where
Yeah,
they actually kissed and celebrated together, and I didn't feel like this was forced upon in this episode. I think it played out really well, that part of it. But I feel like a lot of people didn't, or they had a problem with that as well. But
mhm.
I didn't have a problem with that part. But overall, I enjoyed it. I agree with you. The first two episodes were the better two episodes, but I enjoyed this stuff, like with all the stuff that we got, the flashback stuff, lots of stuff that kind of mirrored the prequels with Soul with the paddle, kind of asking,
Yeah,
"Oh,
yeah.
what is this image?" And Osha was like saying what well, she was lying, right, and faking her answers there. But that was just great seeing that kind of stuff again. So
It was pretty interesting to find out how much power the Jedi actually possess, like as a
yes,
as a cult, right? Pretty much, having the ability to take people's children away from, basically, they're force sensitive. Okay, they're coming with us.
Yeah.
That was eye opener right there for me.
Yeah, yeah, they're a powerful majority in the
Yeah,
galaxy, I guess.
yeah,
Like even more seems like they're even more powerful than the Republic, right? So
yeah,
who
yeah,
knows? I guess we'll get to see
yeah.
more of that hopefully.
That stuff is pretty interesting to me. I kind of like, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. It shows how powerful they are now, and then it also kind of shows they're way up here. It shows how far they've actually
Yeah,
fell when they got taken out by the Empire, by Darth Vader and stuff like that, right? So yeah, it shows that how huge that fall is, because they were way up here. They were at the peak of their power, it seems
yeah,
like, right? Making these
pretty much.
decisions and yeah, laying down the law. So, but no, I think it'll be a cool episode. I kind of think that we're getting more Kelnaka in this episode. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Wouldn't mind seeing
Yeah,
a Wookiee Jedi.
that's what I'm hoping we get Kanaka back on. We get some more, either flashbacks or him actually, now, if they meet up with him or something like that. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, yeah, should be interesting. So let's jump into the chat here before we hop into our first article. We got Patrick Poptography said,
What's up,
as
Patrick?
always, pumped for more Star Wars, and if George Lucas was to return in any capacity, that would be awesome. That would be incredible. I guess we will have to see. And we got Shaylin says hi. Hey, Shaylin, thanks for hopping in the chat. But let's take a look at our first article. So the first article I've got, I saw this on comicbookmovie.com, and it's about the Rey movie. So apparently there's a title. This is still like a rumored title, but people or the article is saying that this is the actual title, right? So take it with a grain of salt until we hear it right from the lips of Kathleen Kennedy and Lucasfilm, right? But so the article is saying that despite reports to the contrary, it seems Lucasfilm's Rey-focused movie starring Daisy Ridley may be titled Star Wars Episode 10: A New Beginning. After all, so a rumor did the rounds last year that Lucasfilm's planned Rey-focused Star Wars movie was going to be titled A New Beginning. This appeared to be debunked shortly after, and the project has been referred to as New Jedi Order ever since. However, it seems like the initial report may have been accurate after all. So, according to production list via the Disinsider, the movie is set to begin filming at Pinewood Studios in London this September, and is currently listed as Star Wars Episode 10: A New Beginning. The production of A New Beginning is set to be a monumental effort aiming to capture the expansive universe that fans have come to love. Filming is scheduled to begin later this year, with pre-production activities already underway. The production will span multiple locations worldwide, utilizing a mix of real-world settings and advanced studio environments to bring the galaxy far, far away to life. Cutting-edge technology, including the latest CGI and practical effects, will be employed to maintain a high visual standards of the franchise. So this sounds very, very cool. There's always a chance this is another working or temporary title, which would make sense as well, because movies usually have like a working title that has nothing to do with the plot of the movie or the actual title. So it could be just the working title could be A New Beginning, just because they're beginning on a new Rey movie, perhaps. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. The article also goes on and says plot details are still under wraps, but we know the film will be set in a whole 15 years after the events of Rise of Skywalker, and that Rey will be a powerful Jedi Master running her own training academy when we catch up with her, which it all sounds very, very cool. I'm gonna be honest. I'm excited about this movie. I enjoyed the sequels. I enjoyed Rey as a character. Um, Seeing her as a Jedi Master training Jedi, this could be a way to bring in other characters that are still alive. We could see Ezra Bridger show up. We could see an older Grogu. We could see Cal Kestis show up because he should be around at this time. So it's a good way to pull in all these other characters from different Star Wars properties as well. But what are your thoughts on all of this?
No, I like the title that they're utilizing right at the moment. A new beginning, right? It's like kind of reminds me of A New Hope, like something a fresh start, something that totally
Yeah,
new, right? It kind of gives you that feel. And I think we were talking last week if they were canceling or not. I just still think, according to some of the stories they're going to be running to today, it's supposedly still in the books. So I think if they didn't, it would be awesome, like a series, like a 6-part series, right, on Disney Plus. But I think the title fits pretty well, A New Beginning, and I like to see maybe if they brought back some of these, like you said, bring some of the characters, right? Ezra Bridger, that'd be kind of cool. Some of these characters are still out in the galaxy, and just kind of bring them in. So that would make sense, right? And so her being a Jedi Master would be kind of interesting. So I'm not hating on the idea. I think that's pretty decent idea. But like I said, if you didn't make it a movie, if they make a series, I think it would work better because you have more time to lay the story out. But either way, I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, I think a series could work too, but like the movie would be nice. It would just be nice to get back into theaters and watching Star Wars because you and I are old school fans. You and I grew up on the original trilogy. Like I saw them in theaters back in '97 for the first time when the special edition came out.
Re-releases,
so ever since then, like, and then with even with the Disney era Star Wars movies, like holidays were Star Wars time. Go see the movie around the holidays, so that it'll be nice to get them in the movies or in the theaters again. So really excited about that. But what are your thoughts on like the gap? So that this article saying a 15-year jump. Yeah, do you think that's enough for fans to kind of fans who didn't like the sequels maybe to give it another chance?
No, I think 15 years it's a good time. It's like, okay, we get to see these characters older, right? More wiser. Her as a Jedi Master, could just imagine what she be able to do. I mean, okay, she was a little overpowered, but at the same time, it kind of makes you wonder, like, wow, now what else could she do in the future, right? In 15 years as a Jedi Master, right? So I think that's a pretty cool time, 15 years into the future, and who would be her students. I think that would be kind of interesting too, because a huge galaxy, all these kind of cool creatures, like maybe another a Wookiee, who knows what we get, 15 years. I think it's pretty cool.
Great.
Yep. All right, so let me go ahead and start on my story here. So this is going to George Lucas possibly returning, returning to the franchise. All right, so many Star Wars fans consider Dave Filoni to be the Padawan to creator George Lucas. But as far as the likelihood of George Lucas returning to the franchise he created, Filoni thinks his mentor has too many things on his plate to collaborate on future projects. Understandably, Filoni confirms that he would love to see Lucas return in some capacity, while highlighting the more subtle ways that Lucas has influenced various projects. Despite Lucas selling Lucasfilms to Disney back in 2012, he has been known to drop by the set of various movies and TV series. I've had a lot of mentoring from him, and the answer is yes. I do every now and then, receive mentoring, but it's got to be something really important to me to go and seek him out now. And it's pretty cool that he has that access, right, to George Lucas. Questioning or advise him, hey, what do you think about this? Or, what would be the best way to go about this way? But at the same time, he says it's important for me to seek him out only on something that's really important to him, to Dave Filoni. I think that's pretty cool. But at the same time, he says I think he's got the museum that he's trying to finish. George Lucas is trying to finish. So that's one of the things that he's talking about Dave Filoni's, that he's got a lot many things on his plate at this moment. But I would love to see George Lucas come back in some capacity, make a film or another film, Star Wars film, by George Lucas. That would be epic. We need that. I'm
Yeah,
not sure what you think about this story.
I think that would be awesome if he came back in some sort of capacity. Even if he came back and directed an episode of like the second season of Ahsoka, that would be amazing, right? Like give him a couple episodes of that or whatever, and let him get back in the directing seat. That would be pretty awesome. Like you said, a movie would be incredible. Um, I I think it's cool that Dave is saying that he's pretty much saying it's a possibility. Like never say never, because Dave
Yeah,
is the creative chief creative officer at Lucasfilm, right? So everything goes past him now. So if he wants to bring in George Lucas and make him a director on an episode, like I said, a couple episodes of Ahsoka or like a movie that they're looking to create, I think that's awesome. Obviously, he's not going to step back into the role and be in charge, but I can see him coming in to direct some stuff, right? Lots of
that
people
would be amazing.
like Brandon says, let George make his version of 7, 8, and 9.
Right.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool. I don't know if they would do that, but that would be cool. I know a lot of fans didn't like the
That would be amazing.
Disney era Star Wars, and that's absolutely fine. Patrick says, hello, my Rebel friends. Hey, Patrick, thanks for hopping back in.
What's up, buddy?
Clan Brandalorian says, what's good, my guys? Hey, Brandon, thanks for hopping in the chat. Yeah, so I think that's pretty cool. I think that could be exciting. And like I said, like with Dave's power at Lucasfilm being the chief creative officer, he's the one to do that, right?
Yeah.
So he would know best, I think.
Just imagine him coming back in this even the smallest way, man.
Yeah, and
but as
like
director,
you said, like yeah, and like you said, like he has been on sets. Like we saw him in behind the scenes on the set of the Mandalorian, where he's talking with overseeing what they're doing with the Ahsoka episode and Grogu, and
meeting
obviously, obviously George created the character of Yoda with no backstory, no like no clues to where he came from and what species he is. So obviously Dave felt it was good to have him on that episode where you learn a little bit more about Grogu. So he probably wanted to see if that was okay with George to do, right? So I like that he's still collaborating with Dave, and that's awesome. General Kenobi's bunker says hello there. General Kenobi, thank you for hopping in. Love to have Lucas direct episodes. He did that with Young Indiana Jones. Yes, he did. That is correct. And that's another thing. Like Lucas has collaborated with other directors, so why not have the roles reversed? Have him come in as a director collaborating with other producers now, right? Like and other higher ups now. So the roles have reversed, right? Dave's kind of slowly becoming the master and bringing in his mentor to do some stuff. That'd be pretty awesome.
That would be most definitely.
So, yeah. So my next article that I saw, I thought it was a pretty interesting one as well. So this one is talking about the Acolyte, how it didn't ruin Anakin's original his origin, like all the trolls are saying, because that, like I said, that was a big issue that a lot of people were talking about. So the article says nobody hates Star Wars like Star Wars fans, which is true. Our fandom is one of the most toxic fandoms out there, if it's not the already the most toxic one. But the newest controversy to stir up the fandom menace is a doozy. The third episode of The Acolyte implies that twins Osha and May were conceived with a little help from the Force. According to trolls online, however, what The Acolyte really did was unravel the very fabric of Star Wars by ruining Anakin Skywalker's status as the Messiah of the Star Wars universe. But it didn't, and like I said, I don't think it did either. So no matter how much George Lucas and Disney say otherwise, some fans are just dead set on believing that Darth Plagueis and Palpatine created Anakin. I'm sorry, but this is just false. The Force created Anakin from scratch as response to the Sith Lord's experiments. Case closed. So the twins, what happened in the Acolyte, the twins, it's not reminiscent of Anakin's creation. Yes, it's implied that Mother Anastasia used the Force in some fashion to help impregnate her wife, Mother Coral, but for all we know, she just manipulated the metachlorians in one of Coral's eggs to start the fertilization process, or even she could have even used the Force to implant the eggs, right? Somehow using the Force or using their dark magic. At no point in the series so far does the Acolyte mention anything that has to do with Anakin's virgin birth. So, yeah, it has nothing to do with that. They're two different things. Like I mentioned, I think what we're seeing in this in the series in the last episode specifically is how this first dyad in the Force was created. These two powerful Force sensitive twins who have this strong Force connection together. I think that's what we're seeing rather than basically a copy of what Anakin was. But yeah, they have nothing to do with it. Like I said, and this article is saying they're two separate things. But what are your thoughts on this? It's kind of a lot to comprehend here, but what are your thoughts on that?
No, you pretty much said it. Yeah, it's not. It's probably just a manipulation of like the Force magic that they have, but not in the same way that, because it was something that was just spontaneous. What happened with Shmi, right? Not
Yeah.
not some type of anything darker or utilizing magic or stuff like that. But I mean, there is theories that that Play just had his hand on what was going on, or actually Sidious. So
Yeah.
but it's not. To me is like it's not the same thing. What happened with Anakin and these two twins.
Yeah.
But I think how you explained it earlier, and I think we were talking about that before we were on live, that basically utilizing the magic that they utilize rather than the Force itself. So I'm not 100% keen on the whole thing, but at the same time, I think it's not the same as Anakin's
Yeah.
his birth or his how he was conceived.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's a lot.
Exactly.
It's a lot to go in there.
Oh yeah. But so far, yeah. No, I don't think they're ruining Anakin's story at all. Yamal says, I think this movie will be great. So do I. Like I said, I'm a big sequel fan. I'm looking forward to seeing Rey in 15 years and who she's training and who's part of her school. Brandon said, should Grogu meet up with Rey in episode 10? That would be cool. Like I said, Grogu will be alive by that time. Like he's only 50 years old during the time period of the Mandalorian. So by the time we jump ahead, however many years that is, he'll only be like a couple hundred years old maybe, so he's still going to be pretty young even compared to Yoda, right? So General Kenobi's bunker, Jose said, yeah, we don't even know what happened, lol. Exactly. So yeah, it should be interesting to see what happens going forward for sure.
Yeah, should be. Hopefully we get some more answers pretty soon. All right, so my next story I got here is positive updates on season 2 of Ahsoka. On January 2024, Lucasfilm made it official, announcing that a second series of Ahsoka was in development under the watch of Filoni. But not much had been said of the project since. But recently, in an interview with John Horowitz, Filoni gave an encouraging update on Ahsoka season 2. The CCO indicated that season 2 of Ahsoka was taking up the bulk of his time because I've been writing Ahsoka season 2. Things have clicked, and I have much better ideas about where things are going to go. Right now, my focus is clearly on Ahsoka season 2, said Filoni before adding, as well as the rest of the galaxy and how it's spinning. The rest of the galaxy currently consists of projects such as the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, which Filoni say has been fun to dive into, the Daisy Ridley New Jedi Order film, and James Mangold's Dawn of the Jedi era film. So things are looking up now that they're actually that he's been writing, and that's taking up a bulk of his time, which is awesome. That he is spending most of his time, writing season 2 of Ahsoka series.
Yeah,
Love to see where the story's gonna head to next. Also the movie, so can't wait
yeah,
for all this to happen. So
absolutely.
what do you think, Chris?
I'm excited about this because the first season of Ahsoka was amazing, and like Ahsoka, the whole like Star Wars Rebels, all those characters there, that's Dave Filoni's baby right there. So
He
you can
knows
tell
those
how
characters.
passionate he is. Yeah, he knows those
Yeah.
characters really well. So it's exciting to hear that he's working on Ahsoka season 2, and I, I like hearing that the movies are his priority as well. Like the 3 movies that they mentioned: the Rey movie, the James Mangold movie, and the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, which is his movie debut, right? So,
It still amazes me how
no,
he can
yeah,
manipulate this whole universe, right? Keep
yeah,
things going. Everything's falling in the timeline, right?
yeah, yeah. No, I think that's incredible news that we're gonna he's working on it. I mean, that means we could see Ahsoka season 2 maybe as early as the end of 2025, perhaps, if he's working on it. I mean, you got to think they got to start filming maybe next year, so maybe we'll see it in 2026, early 2026. But either way, it's exciting that we're getting another season of it. Um, Patrick said Grogu could be ruling Mandalore by then, by the time we get to the Rey movie, which absolutely he could be, right? He could be ruling Mandalore, and Rey could come and recruit him or whatever. Um, Brandon said Grogu was born the same year as Anakin, by my calculation, so I believe he would be about 80-ish in episode 10, if that's 15 years after episode 9. Yeah, so like I said, he wouldn't he
Still in
wouldn't be
his
very
prime.
old, right? He'd still, yeah, still in his prime, exactly. So um, that'd be pretty crazy to see Grogu and Rey on the big screen together. These two very powerful Jedi, right? So Padawan Chronicles in the chat. Hey, Andrea.
Andrea?
She says, "Hey, Chris. Hey, Eric. Gianni V in the house. That
What's
would be
up,
so
Gianni?
cool. Gianni, what's going on?" Yeah, so I think it'd be really awesome. So my next article that I saw, that I thought was pretty awesome. It's Dave Filoni weighs in on Star Wars canon, and basically he's saying we might make changes to it out of the medium or out of the bias. So the article kind of goes on and says after the Walt Disney Company acquired Lucasfilm in 2012, the expanded universe was rebranded as Legends. So all the books, all the comics and stuff like that were already in print went under this Legends title, right? So they're no longer canon. The term canon was reserved for George Lucas's 6 movies, the seasons of Star Wars: The Clone Wars that he had developed, and all the movies, TV series, and novels, comic books, toys, and video games created by Lucasfilm after the acquisition, including the sequel trilogy. So this angered a lot of the fans, and we still see that like people are still angry about that. People are still like, oh, there's nothing past episode 6, Return of the Jedi. So we still see that there's a lot of backlash. And the debate of canon is nowadays more heated than ever, especially with the recent release of Star Wars: The Acolyte, which which offered controversial takes on some of the established terms in the franchise. Luckily, Dave Filoni recently gave his take on the canon on the WGAW podcast. So, what Dave Filoni was saying, he said, "I tend to look at it a little bit like an authorian tales, to be honest, and how depending on what version you're reading and translation, they can be widely different. But the authors usually author and does the things that he's supposed to do. Those things remain true, and that's very much like folk tale and fairy tale type of ideology. If we tell a story in animation, or if it's in a comic, and then we bring that to the big screen in a different way, we might make changes to it out of the medium or out of the bias of the person making it, but it should still maintain the heart and the important moments of what people liked about the story. So basically, what Filoni was saying is that while the destination should always remain the same, the journey can be widely different based on who's retelling the story and which form you are retelling it in. So this all makes sense to me. I like that. Like, it kind of give makes you think, like, stuff like Star Wars Visions. Like, people are telling different stories, different versions of these stories, and how stuff ends up, and you can choose to think it's canon or not, right? Like, some of it makes sense as canon, some of it doesn't. But what are your thoughts on this? What do you think of what Dave is saying? Like, how canon is kind of like, it's kind of like a loose term now with stuff kind of crossing mediums. What are your thoughts on this one, Eric?
Well, I think like for example, if you film something in animation and you film something in live action, it's gonna be similar, right? But you can't do the same things you could do in live action than you can
Yeah,
in animation. So you have that kind of leeway where you kind of have to mold the story in a different way to tell the same thing. It's pretty much, I think, in that same way. I think that Dave Filoni is probably talking about, and maybe more what we watched on episode 3 of Acolytes. You talking about the thread, right? I think the way that she was describing it, it's pretty much she was describing the Force, but she was, like at the same time, kind of like diminishing how, how Jedi's utilize the term the Force or whatever. But
yep,
she's pretty much describing the same thing. So it's all depending on like these witches, right? They saw the Force in another way, or like, and at the same time, it's like how maybe some directors or maybe some writers, they would express themselves or write things in the way that they would write it. But I think
yeah,
it should all collaborate or be, under the being canon in the way that it falls in line with what the Force is, or how the Force is being utilized, or what's already based in canon. So if
yeah,
it falls along that, it all depends on how it's written. Like if it's, like I said, an animation, or or a film or a movie or something like that. So
yeah.
it has to, the story have to change a little bit, because you can't do the same thing as in live action and in the animation form.
Right, exactly.
So yeah, it's it all depends, like how the writer writes it all out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That everyone, from a certain point of view, like
From
they
a
say,
certain
right?
point
Like,
of view, right?
everything is very dependent on one's certain point of view, right? So,
Yep.
like, you could tell one story one way, and then I could have interpreted the same events a different way, right? So, same thing. Yeah,
All right. So the possibilities of an R-rated story. This is my next story. Filoni recently appeared on a Happy, Sad, Confused podcast alongside Star Wars actors Rosario Dawson and Hayden Christensen, and he teased his upcoming project and answered some interesting questions about the franchise, addressing the possibility of an R-rated Star Wars project in the future. I learned from George Lucas. It's certainly not the same. I'm not certainly not the same as George Lucas when it comes to making movies. George is one of a kind, generational talent, and that's okay, because there are principles about choices and being a good person and getting over your fears, and those are timeless no matter what style you're talking about. He continues. While it's hard to imagine an R-rated Star Wars project, it sounds like Dave Filoni is open to it if the right idea comes along.
yeah,
But reading this, and I'm trying to. So this writer is from comic book, right? From
yeah,
the yeah. So I'm not sure how he's understanding this, but if you think about it, he says, "I learned from George Lucas. I'm certainly not the same as George Lucas when it comes to making movies and films." Okay, so he says there are principles about choices and being a good person and getting over your fears, and those are timeless no matter what style you're talking about. If I'm not sure how he's thinking about this, but he's talking about principles and choices, and I don't think making it a Star Wars R-rated film is going to fall under the same principle, right? Because basically, Star Wars was basically made for children. Like George Lucas always said that.
He always
And
said that.
about
Yeah.
choices and being a good person. I'm not sure how they would. I know there's always been like these darker elements, especially in Rogue One about war and things like that.
Yeah.
But to actually make a R-rated film,
Yeah.
Star Wars film, I'm not sure how that would work out.
Or like Brandon said here, he said Revenge of the Sith was about as R-rated as Star Wars.
Oh yes,
go,
yes,
right?
yes,
with all the darkness.
Yeah, exactly, Brandon.
Yeah. So,
but to get a R-rated, you have to have blood. I mean, I don't think Star Wars is going to do that, or blood, or a lot of bad language, nudity, things like that. So I'm not sure how they would incorporate that in the Star Wars films.
Yeah,
maybe the blood.
Yeah. I was gonna say maybe the blood.
Maybe the blood.
I don't know. I don't know if you can get away with doing like a curse. Like you might be able to throw in like a curse word, but I feel like some characters have already said like "damn it" or something, right? In the like that's pretty.
Yeah,
that's pretty vanilla. It's not like a
pretty much
super
soft.
Yeah, but like for the blood, like the thing that comes to mind for me is like a live action version of the Ronin from the Ronin Star Wars Visions episode, right? If you did that in live action and just made it bloody and gory and told his story, that I could see that being like a rated R show or movie, right? That'd be a really cool one to do. And it sounds like it sounds like Dave is open to it, which is kind of cool. It's like the article says, it's kind of hard to imagine it, but I think you could do it if you did like something like the Ronin, where that kind of story, you would imagine it to be kind of a little bit more bloody, a little more gory, right? With him going around killing people and stuff like that. So it could be interesting. It could be interesting, and it should be interesting to see what Dave does with some of these future Star Wars projects and ones that we don't even know about yet, right? Like he could be planning one right now that we don't even know about, right? So exciting times for sure. Exciting times. So I found an article here that I thought was pretty cool. So it's about all the upcoming Star Wars projects that are coming out or that have been announced, and all the ones on this list are ones that were announced to be coming out but never got officially taken off the shelf, or they didn't get canceled officially by Lucasfilm. So there's going to be a long list here, but these are all the projects that are currently either being worked on, coming out to theaters in the next couple of years, or series, or just stuff that they're planning on doing. So the first one is The Mandalorian and Grogu, releasing May 22nd of 2026. So that's coming out in a couple of years. I believe they're going to be starting production pretty soon. I think I read somewhere. The announcement said the movie will lead the new slate of Star Wars films and arriving May 22nd, 2026. The Rey movie release date is unknown. I thought they had a release date of like December 2026, because I thought that was the whole thing. They were going to release two movies the same year, but I guess
I thought so too.
I guess maybe they changed it, but we just, as we read in a different article, that they're going to be starting production this year on that. So that's pretty exciting. So we got that movie coming. The James Mangold movie, which we talked about in I think our first episode, that could be potentially titled Jedi Prime
Yep.
now, which is cool. Dave Filoni's movie. So it was revealed at Celebration 2023 that Dave Filoni will helm a live-action Star Wars movie, and it will bring together Disney Plus shows. So far, The Mandalorian, Ahsoka, and the Book of Boba Fett, but also I think it'll involve Skeleton Crew as well, which takes place in this universe. So this is like the Heir to the Empire movie, as some are calling it.
Yeah.
So that's going to be coming at some point. Taika Waititi's Star Wars movie is still a project that that's still developing. Yeah, so like that hasn't been officially canceled by Lucasfilm yet. Sean Levy's Star Wars movie, which I don't think I heard about this one. I'm not sure if I heard about this movie, but apparently Sean Levy has a Star Wars movie in the works, but the project won't enter production until Deadpool 3 and Stranger Things Season 5 have wrapped up. So that might not happen for a couple of years yet, but that could be interesting. That could be a way to get a rated R Star Wars movie, because he's done Deadpool 3, which is rated R, right? So
yeah.
The Lando series, which again, this is another one that we haven't heard too much about. I think Donald Glover and his brother are writing it right now, so
Bring back
that's
Lando.
another one bring back Lando. That could be cool. Again, another one. This is one that people might not like, but I'm excited for this because it still hasn't been officially canceled by Lucasfilm. Rian Johnson's new Star Wars trilogy, which could be cool. I say give Ryan another chance. I love The Last Jedi. It's my favorite of the sequel trilogy. I love Knives Out and Glass Onion, which was the sequel to that. And Looper, another great Rian Johnson movie, in my opinion. So I'm excited for that. Star Wars Rogue Squadron is still supposed to be coming at some point. Yeah, that got kind of put on hold while she was doing Wonder Woman 1984 and I think another project, but now I guess she's working on that again. So canceled Star Wars movies. So the Kevin Feige Star Wars movie isn't happening anymore. Other canceled Star Wars movies. Reports emerged in February 2020 that J.D. Dillard, best known for the film Slight, was working on a feature-length project with Luke Cage and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Scribe Matt Owens. I never heard of this, but apparently that's canceled. And then, are there any other Star Wars movies? So the original plan when Disney bought Star Wars or Lucasfilm for the $4 billion was to release a standalone anthology movies between all the Sega episodes. So they did Rogue One, they did Solo: A Star Wars Story, and Solo's conclusion was clearly setting up a sequel, which who knows, maybe we'll get a sequel to that at some point. That would be awesome. But then also there's some more TV shows coming. So September 13th, we're getting the Lego Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy, where we'll see Darth Jar Jar. Yeah, which is it's basically kind of like Star Wars version of Marvel's What If. So that's cool, showing different possibilities. Skeleton Crew, which is supposed to come out later this year. And Andor Season 2 is coming probably next year, I would think. Showrunner Tony Gilroy also estimated that the show will arrive August 2024. I don't know if that's actually going to happen because we're in June right now. I don't know. I mean, I would be very happy if it shows up August 2024. That'd be crazy. Mandalorian Season 4. They didn't officially take this off the table, so we could be getting Mandalorian Season 4 as well as the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. So that'd be pretty incredible. Ahsoka Season 2, which we know Dave is working on. A Droid Story, which is an animation Lucasfilm's visual effects team, Industrial Light and Magic, are teaming up with are teaming up for a Disney Plus movie, but an animated movie, which will follow R2D2 and C3PO. That was announced like, I don't know, way back in the what it's got to be a few years ago now that was announced, and that still hasn't been canceled. So there's a lot of stuff still officially on the table that hasn't been canceled by Lucasfilm. What do you think of all of this? Like, it's a lot of stuff,
It's a lot. It's a lot. I mean, it's so much goodies coming our way pretty soon.
right?
Yeah. No. I can't wait for Andor, and there's so many shows to go over. And but yeah,
Yeah,
it's a good time, right?
yeah. Are there any in particular that you're looking forward to the most?
No, I mean, I think Solo would be kind of interesting if we can get maybe some kind of a reference to Darth Maul or
Yeah,
Darth Maul coming, some in some way. But I don't know, so many good shows and movies coming. Skeleton Crew, can't wait for that. I'm not sure if the trailer came out just yet. I know it supposedly it came out, but I haven't seen it just yet.
yeah. I
Um,
haven't seen it either.
yeah, no, it's all good stuff, man. Um, was that Road Squadron also?
Yeah, that could be good. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's going to be a lot of good stuff. If all of this is still somehow in the works, in some sort of development, and they're still thinking of doing this, that's amazing.
So I'm wondering if they're going to replace Gina Carano's character, Cara Dune.
Yeah,
So
I don't know. I mean, I feel like they got rid of her
yeah,
well enough where they said, oh, she's just off doing other stuff for the Republic. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Brandon
No.
says the Heir to the Empire could be awesome. Yeah, so that'd be like Dave Filoni's like Avengers Star Wars movie where all these series, all these shows come together, right? So yeah, that would be awesome.
It's exciting times.
Exciting times.
Yes, sir. All right. So the last story I've got is the Acolyte shouldn't include one fan requested cameo. The Acolyte's creator, Leslie Headland, shut down the possibility of Yoda appearing, and here's why it's the right move for the latest Star Wars series to hit Disney Plus. The Acolyte might involve a cover-up and casualties since the Sith's plans eventually come to fruition in Revenge of the Sith. Given that a small Jedi council is investigating May's murders, Yoda's lack of involvement makes sense. In the Acolyte's first episode, Venestra Raw tells Soul that the mission should remain a secret to avoid fueling political enemies, which means few in the Jedi Order may know what eventually transpired in the series. And this is the most important part here is placing Yoda in this story will also be tricky because it could impact how us, the audience, view him if he knew more about the Sith than he was letting out in the prequels. So that's pretty. Not that I would love to see Yoda, but at the same time, him not being there and him not being present, maybe somewhere else, not knowing what happened, right? You wouldn't feel
Yeah,
this kind of like distaste for Yoda if it came out that he knew more than the Sith than he let out to be.
yeah, yeah.
And
So
imagine if they made it seem like he was part of the cover up because it
yeah, right.
looks like it's going to be a
Yeah,
cover up on the show.
it looks like it. It's kind of heading that way. I don't know. Part of me still wants to see like a small
Oh,
little cameo, maybe just like him walking past Soul in the hallway or whatever. They don't even have to interact, or maybe they say like he gives him like Yoda the head nod, like hey Master Yoda or whatever. But like they don't have to interact beyond that, or just him in the background training some younglings or something. Like just a neat little cameo like that would be kind of cool. I'm still hoping for that, but I get why they would keep him out of it, just to keep it separate from the prequel trilogy and keep him from knowing too much.
yeah,
Like
exactly.
you said, keep him in the dark about this cover up because it seems like very few Jedi are going to know about this cover up that they're trying to this mystery and that they're trying to solve, and this cover up that's going to eventually happen. It seems like very few Jedi are actually going to know that. So it makes sense when stuff in the prequels happens where Mace Windu and Yoda are like, oh, the Sith have been extinct for over a millennia. Like they didn't know about this event here, right? So it makes sense to keep Yoda off of it, but I at the same time, just like the fanboy in me wants to see Yoda just pop up in the background somewhere and be like, oh hey, that's Yoda right there, you know? That'd be pretty awesome to see him still.
So if we don't get Yoda, who would you like to see?
You know who I would like to see? I would like to see Hu Yang show up.
That is my
Hu Yang makes sense. Hu Yang makes sense because he was around during this time, right? Like making sabers for younglings. Like even if he's just in the background in a scene, like showing some of the younglings how to make their lightsaber, and Sol or Vernesta Rowe walk past him or something, or they have some interaction about him, like, oh, what do you think about this lightsaber or whatever? Like if they happen to pick up the Sith character's lightsaber in the next couple episodes and bring it to Hu Yang, and they're like, you know, what do you think of this lightsaber? Like, can you tell us about it? Like that'd be pretty awesome seeing Hu Yang show up.
Yeah, they perfected his CGI, or I'm not sure if it was practical, like a puppet or whatever, but they made it perfect.
He looked incredible. Yeah,
and his robots,
absolutely.
you know, that character's still around. I'm like, why not bring him in? It just makes sense.
Yeah, and David Tennant does such a great job of Hu Yang as well. So Brandon says Yoda needs to decide that kids need to be younger for the training based on what happened with the twin girls. That's the reason they didn't want to train Anakin. That is true.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. But yeah, no, a lot of awesome stuff on the horizon, it sounds like. Again, another episode of the Acolyte that just dropped about 20 minutes ago. Do you want to take a look at the title for this one?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's check out the title, because looking at it, so the title of this one is just Day. So we kind of moved from the two word, like the lost found, the revenge justice. I thought they were going to go in that kind of titling for this stuff, but it looks like it's just titled Day, which I don't know. I have no idea. But
maybe
it looks like the description says racing to the next target, the Jedi had to head to a new world as they close in on the clever, and then it doesn't really continue that.
Okay, so she's after
yeah, but it looks like we're getting that new character that was revealed as a Funko Pop earlier, and it looks like they're doing that Lord of the Rings walk along the grassy planet like we saw in the trailer. Like I'm getting Lord of the Rings vibes there with everyone in a row walking. Right?
Hide your numbers.
Hide your. There you go. They're walking like sand people. They're hiding their numbers. That's awesome. So should be an interesting episode, because this could be the episode that we see the Sith get revealed, or at least show up with his lightsaber, because I feel like it's the same forest planet that they're on when they all light up their lightsabers and stuff like that. It looks like the same planet, but who knows? I guess we'll see. I guess we will see. But another great episode in the works here with the Acolyte, it looks like, and a lot of stuff on the horizon with possible Lucas coming back and all these projects that are still in the works again. Yeah, exciting times to be a Star Wars fan, indeed.
Oh yeah. Upcoming year, 2 years is going to be packed.
I know it's going to be packed. Yeah, good time to be a Star Wars fan. But I think that does it for us this episode of Rebel Rewind. Thanks everyone for hopping in the chat and giving us your thoughts on all this stuff. And we'll see you next week when we have some more news and rumors to talk about next week. And again, we'll discuss this episode of The Acolyte next week. So we'll see you guys in the next episode.
See y'all then.